Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my lockdown kitchen, where I've been with my family for the past, I don't even know how many days actually, I think I've lost count. But today I'm going to be talking a little bit about supporting your health with food during the pandemic. So I'm a nutritional therapist and I work with different clients for people who have IBS, people who want to gain weight, people who want to lose weight, people who have blood sugar control issues or fatigue or musculoskeletal problems, a whole range of different health conditions of clients that I support in their health. So at the moment I haven't been seeing so many clients, I've been seeing a few through Zoom, but I have been preparing some advice for helping people to look after themselves during the pandemic. Now, I just want to qualify that a little bit and just to explain that there are actually only two proven evidence-based ways to prevent yourself from getting COVID-19. And those two things are excellent hygiene, washing hands, not touching your face, and physical distancing. As we know, staying 2 meters away from people and not going out if you feel that you've got symptoms. Those are the only two evidence-based ways that we know how to prevent ourselves getting this very new disease that we're learning about. However, what I would say, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, is that I'm going to be talking about the different sorts of foods to help support our immune system. We don't know if these foods help support us to prevent ourselves getting COVID-19, but we do know, we do have evidence that they help with supporting the immune system and helping to prevent things like other respiratory conditions and the flu and the common cold. So we're sort of extrapolating that information to help us keep healthy during this pandemic. But of course, without physical distancing and without super excellent hygiene, that would be those are the gold standard ways to prevent yourself from getting COVID-19, and everything else I'm talking about are things that we know help to support our immune system. So first of all, I just want to also say that a lot of people have been asking me about different supplements, different health supplements and vitamins. And the word supplement by meaning supplementary, means in addition. So supplement should be something that is in addition to our diet. We can't sort of rely on having a really unhealthy food and, oh, it's okay, I'll just take some vitamins and I'll be fine, because that's not really the case. We need to make sure that we're getting our vitamins and all of our macro and micronutrients from food. For example, if you think about, let's say, a pepper, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit later, but a pepper that contains fibre, it's got carbohydrates, it's got lots of vitamins, vitamin A and vitamin C and lycopenes. If you just take your vitamin C from a tablet, you're just going to be getting vitamin C. But if you have a pepper, you're going to be getting hundreds of different beneficial plant compounds. So that's why I always say to try and get your vitamins and your minerals with food first, always with food first. And if you can't get a varied diet, a balanced, varied, healthy diet, then we start thinking about supplementing. And another little note about vitamins is that if you are on medication prescribed by a medical doctor, a GP or a different practitioner, then you should be asking them if you can take the supplements that you want to take. For example, some medications are prevented from being absorbed by the body by different vitamins, and some vitamins you don't get all the vitamin from them if you're on different medications. So it may be that you need to check with your GP or check with your pharmacist or a nutritional therapist such as myself if the vitamins you want to take actually are suitable or appropriate to be taking with your medication. Because you don't want to be spending a lot of money on vitamins and then they're not really getting absorbed by the body because of your medication, and vice versa. So it just could be that we need to take the vitamins away from the medication, for example, 4 hours later or earlier, or it might need to be worked out personally for you depending on what medication you're taking and what vitamins you'd like to take. Of course, if you're just getting all your vitamins from food, which would be ideal, then you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, so in order to support our health overall and supporting our immune system, it would be best to get a really balanced diet, a big variety of different types of foods, and I'm going to be touching on some of those today. And I'm going to be preparing, as I talk to you, a couple of little snacks to have during the afternoon. as we're coming up to the middle of the day, the middle of the afternoon. I enjoyed my lovely soyo lunch, which was very healthy. I hope that wasn't done specially for me and that you all had exactly the same healthy lunch. It was really delicious, lots of different colours in there, lots of nutrients in there. So that was a big plus point. Well done, that was delicious, really delicious. So I'm going to be preparing a couple of snacks to talk about the different vitamins that are in those different snacks. I don't know about you, but during lockdown, I've definitely been eating a lot more than normal, and my kids seem to be eating every hour on the hour. They're like constantly coming into the kitchen and looking for things to eat. So while it may be very, very easy to sort of put out the sugary snacks and the crisps and the biscuits and the sweets and whatnot, it would actually be a better way to go to maybe just have one of those as a sugary thing, and let's try and replace them with something a little bit healthier. So I've got a few ideas to try and tease your kids away from keep them away from the biscuit tin and have something that's colourful and healthy, and will keep them filled up to the next meal, that they don't come down again half an hour later like my kids are doing all the time. So the first thing I'm going to prepare is a little vegetable platter with some hummus. So you don't actually have to make the hummus yourself. I'm going to make it for you now to show you how to do it. It's very, very easy. Of course, you can buy hummus from a whole wide range of different shops and outlets. So I'm going to make mine in my NutriBullet, but you can do it with a stick blender, and you can do it with a food processor. And I'm just going to pop the ingredients in here. So one of the nutrients that we need to support our immune system is iron. And iron, there are two different forms of iron. There's plant sources of iron and animal sources of iron. So animal sources of iron are things like red meat and liver, which are very good for you. Had occasionally, of course, we shouldn't be eating red meat all the time, but once or twice a week from a non-processed source of red meat is absolutely fine. Red meat can be very healthy as part of a balanced diet. But I'm going to be using some chickpeas today to make my hummus. So chickpeas are a plant source of iron. And other plant sources of iron are watercress and tofu, lentils, dried apricots and parsley. They all contain iron, but the iron that's in plant foods is not as easily bioavailable to the body as in animal foods. So the way to increase our absorption of iron with the plant-based sources is to have it with a little bit of vitamin C. So some of the vegetables that I'm going to serve with my hummus to get as much iron from those chickpeas as possible is I've got here, I hope you can see, I've got some little baby plum tomatoes here, and I've got a pepper.
Sorry, could you does your camera come any closer?
It's on a tripod, so I will come closer to the camera.
Okay.
Right, here we are. So we've got some baby plum tomatoes, and I've got a yellow pepper, which I'm going to chop up and put in there, and excuse my back, and I've got a carrot, which I've scrubbed, and I'm going to chop in there as well, and then I'm going to prepare the hummus. Hope you could see that. So the reason that I've chosen these vegetables is because of their colour. They've got yellows, reds and oranges here. So vitamin A is a really essential nutrient for the immune system. And vitamin A, as well as being found in liver, which probably not a lot of people like, I quite like it, but I know it doesn't go down well with most people. But vitamin A is also found as beta-carotenes in red and orange vegetables. So red and yellow and orange vegetables, and also in dark green ones too. So things like sweet potatoes and peppers and carrots and mangoes and apricots and papayas. So I'm going to chop those here to put them in. And also, these vegetables that I've chosen also contain vitamin C, which is also very supportive for the immune system. And vitamin C is also found in kiwi, in citrus fruits, in strawberries. In fact, vitamin C is found in most fruits and vegetables. It's even found in potatoes. So potatoes are often slated in the diet world, but actually they contain lots of fibre and potassium and vitamin C, which is all very healthy for you. So we've got our carrots here. When I've chopped it up, I'll come and show it to the camera again. And so we've got the peppers being brilliant for vitamin A and vitamin C. So you've got double benefits there. Okay. Right. And I kept the skin on the carrot. I gave it a really good scrub, and I do that with my sweet potatoes as well. I clean them and I scrub them because lots of the vitamins are under the skin of the sweet potato and the carrot. So I really give them a good scrub, and I'm going to come and show this to you here. So that's all chopped up for you already, or whichever vegetables your family likes to eat. That's also absolutely fine. So now we're going to make the hummus in the NutriBullet. So we've got our vitamin C here in the vegetables, and now we've got our plant sources of iron here in the chickpeas. And the way to make the hummus is, I've got a tin of chickpeas here, which I'm just draining the water, but I'm keeping the water. You can see I've kept the chickpea water. Some people like their hummus quite runny, some people like it nice and thick, so you can add it to the food processor until you get the consistency that you like. So we've got the chickpeas going in there, okay, and I've got a clove of garlic going in, a little bit of salt, and some tahini. So this is raw tahini, which you can get in shops. And I'm just putting a tablespoon in there. And then I'm just going to add some of the liquid from the tin of chickpeas into here. And you can experiment with this to see how thick you like your hummus, if you like it a little bit runnier. Everyone is different. Now, because I'm trying something a little bit different today I'm going to make a lemon and coriander hummus. So if you just want plain hummus, that's what you've got there. You've got your chickpeas, your garlic cloves, some salt and tahini, and you can just zhuzh all of that. But I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice and a bunch of coriander leaves to make a lemon and coriander hummus, just to make it something a little bit different. And the lemon, of course, has got some vitamin C in. Now you can get your lemon from a freshly squeezed lemon, or you can get it from a bottle like I have. Either is fine. And I'm just going to put it into the NutriBullet and whiz it. So you're going to hear a bit of noise for about 30 seconds while I whiz that up, and we'll see what we've got. Always helps to switch it on at the plug first. Okay, there we go. Let's have a look, and I will put it in a bowl and show you. How easy was that? There we are. I'm going to come and actually, I'll put it in a bowl and come and show it to you. And that will be a little bit easier, I think. So I'm very pleased with the consistency of this. I'm not going to add anything else. And I will come and show it to the camera. So what we've got here is a dip that contains protein, fibre, some iron. Here we are. Here's the hummus there. So we've got our iron, our plant source of iron, and we're going to dip our vitamin C vegetables in there. And that's a really nice, healthy, balanced, nutrient-providing little afternoon snack. Okay, so that was the first thing.
Yeah, everybody get a little in.
I'm sorry, Joanne? Right. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is even easier than that. And this is just a really... Oh, yes, I can repeat the ingredients, absolutely. So I had a tin of chickpeas, one 400 gram tin of chickpeas, which I drained. I added a clove of garlic and a little salt and a tablespoon of raw tahini. This is the akhva, whole sesame tahini. And then I added, that's your basic hummus, but I also then added a squirt of lemon juice, and I'm going to be no more technical than just a squirt because I'm not really into too detailed measurements. And I also added a little bunch of coriander, but you could put something different in there if you wanted to put some mint leaves or some parsley or something different. That would also be really lovely. I think with
Esther, sorry, can I just ask you, does it have to be fresh coriander? Can you use any of the dried? Otherwise, you either have to buy the checked coriander or the one. Can you use the one also in the ice cubes? Should it really be fresh?
Probably not the one in the ice cubes. For this, you'd use fresh. But you know, with these savoury dishes, you can put anything really goes. You can't really mess it up. You know, if you want it to taste of something different, by all means, you know, experiment away. If you wanted to put a little bit of chili powder in there, if you've, you know, got that Sephardi fiery taste, you know, then that's absolutely fine. You can put it, you can really experiment with something like hummus. You could put, I mean, I haven't actually done this myself, but I've seen people make it with adding some cooked beetroot in there, like a nice beetroot hummus or roasted red pepper hummus, you know, to make something a little bit different. But your basic standard hummus would be those first 4 ingredients: the garlic, the chickpeas, the tahini and the salt, and then, you know, experiment away.
Amazing, thank you.
Okay, lovely. So the next really, really simple little snack I'm going to do might appeal more to the younger people. So I'm just basically going to be making some sliced apple and just spreading some peanut butter on it. So it's not even making anything, it's just literally preparing it. But the reason I'm doing this is because I know that a lot of people at the moment are feeling a little bit anxious, and sometimes when people are anxious because of the uncertainty at the moment, that they tend to comfort eat, or their stress hormones can cause imbalances in their blood sugar, and vice versa. The blood sugar going up and down can cause stress hormones to be imbalanced. So if that is something that applies to you, it would be better maybe than having lots of sugary things, which is always very easy to do and very yummy to do, just to maybe have something to help balance your blood sugar levels rather than spiking them all day. So that's why I like to have snacks which have a little bit of protein in. So we've already seen the first thing I made had the chickpeas, which had the protein in as well as the iron. And this one is having some apple, which of course is a carbohydrate that has lots of fibre in. It's a whole fruit. But I'm going to be spreading on it some peanut butter because peanut butter has protein as well as fibre and can just help to keep you feeling a little bit more balanced if you're feeling that your blood sugar levels are going up and down. If you're on a bit of a sugar roller coaster during the day where you're sort of having something sugary and then you're feeling anxious and then it kind of perpetuates and keeps it going. So I'm just slicing the apple, and kids love this actually. I mean, what you can do is, even for younger kids, is spread the peanut butter on and then maybe stick some little raisins or cranberries on, makes it quite pretty. I've also done this with celery sticks, where you have a celery stick, put a little bit of peanut butter along and then put some little raisins on it, so like little ants on a log, which is quite sweet. I don't know if my teenagers would go for that, but oh, just going to get a knife actually to spread that. It's amazing when you think you've got every single thing you need and then you forget one little thing. Okay, so I've actually got crunchy peanut butter, and the one I'm using has got no sugar in at all. It is just 100% peanuts. So that's what we want, because we don't really want to be trying to control our blood sugar and then sticking sugary peanut butter on there. So I'm just spreading the peanut butter on, and that is really it. So you've got a nice little snack there. It's got lots of fibre in. It's got a bit of a sweet kick from the apple and a bit of the savoury peanutty. And is there a question? Did I add oil? Is that the question? No, I haven't added any oil. The peanut butter itself has got its own natural oil in. Oh, for the hummus. Sorry, I'm just trying. There's a question over here. No, I didn't add any oil into the hummus. I have got my oil out because I'm going to use that in my third thing that I'm going to show you shortly. Okay, so this is just quite a simple little afternoon snack. I will bring that to show you. And I guess if you wanted it to look a little bit prettier, you could do it with a smooth peanut butter. You could put little raisins or cranberries or some blueberries or whatever you like on top of there. And that, if you just put that out for the kids while you're preparing supper, I'm sure they would enjoy that. And you would know that they were having some protein and some fibre and lots of plant phytonutrients that are in that apple and in those peanuts. Obviously, if your child's allergic to peanuts, that's not going to help you, but there are other types of nut and seed butters out there if you wanted to recreate this in a different form. Okay, so there's going to be one more thing that I'm going to make, which is going to be a little bit more of a treat. But first of all, I just wanted to go into a few more of the different nutrients that we need to support our immune system. So we've talked about iron. So is there a question? Yeah. Okay. I think there's a question over here, so do you want to ask me? I'm just going to see what the question is. Okay, I think there's a personalised question over there which I'm going to take at the end from Olivia. If that's okay, I'll answer that one at the end. Please remind me on that one. So we've talked about iron being essential for the immune system and how we need to have some vitamin C with our plant sources of iron. And vitamin C comes from different fruits and vegetables, and vitamin A, which comes from the orange and yellow fruits and vegetables. But there's also a few other nutrients that I wanted to touch upon. One of them is vitamin D. Now, vitamin D comes, as you know, from the action of the sun on our skin. So at the moment, that's quite good because we're coming into the summertime and we can go and sit outside for 15 minutes a day and get our vitamin D from the action of the sun on our skin. But if it's not a sunny day, if it's dull, which it often is here in the UK, then we can also get our vitamin D from oily fish, so things like salmon, mackerel, sardines, anchovies and herring, and also from eggs and from dairy foods. Now the thing with eggs, I know that a lot of people are very nervous about eggs. They've been sort of slated in the media, certainly, you know, a few decades ago they were, but actually eggs are very healthy. They are a cheap, versatile and nutritious source of protein. They can be made into all sorts of different foods: omelettes, poached eggs, fried eggs, scrambled eggs, hard-boiled, and they're very healthy. And it's very important to actually eat the whole egg. Some people feel that they should only be eating the whites of the egg, but actually the yolk of the egg contains lots of vitamin D and choline as well, which is a very important nutrient for the brain. So eat the whole egg. It's really, really very good for you. Another little trick with vitamin D is that, did you know if you put your mushrooms upside down, that's with the dark side facing upwards, the inside of the mushroom, on a sunny windowsill, you can increase the vitamin D content of those mushrooms. And you only need to put them on that sunny windowsill for 20 minutes, and you've got some, a lovely source of vitamin D there. So that's vitamin D. Another very important nutrient is vitamin E. Vitamin E is found in avocados and in nuts and seeds and in leafy green vegetables. So when I'm making, meals for the family, I like to sometimes sprinkle seeds on the salads, on the soups, on a stir fry, just to add some vitamin E in there. They don't even know that they're getting it sometimes. So we like to just have lots of different seeds, and it can be, local seeds, things that grow here, like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, or it could be something a little bit more fancy, like chia seeds or hemp seeds, or poppy seeds, sesame. Sesame seeds actually contain selenium as well as vitamin E, and selenium is another very important nutrient for the immune system. Now, selenium is also found in Brazil nuts, which are a really excellent source of selenium, and also selenium is found in mushrooms, so there's another reason to eat your mushrooms. And the last nutrient that I wanted to tell you about is zinc, and zinc is found in whole grains, so like things like barley and whole wheat, quinoa, and also in poultry, so chicken and turkey, duck, and different seeds and nuts. Now, you don't need to worry about remembering where all the different nutrients come from and all the different sources that I've told you. All you need to think about is having as many different foods as you can, as much variety, in as near to its original state as possible. So what I mean by that is, you know, when you have processed foods and this has happened to it and so many different stages has happened to it, and then you get something that doesn't actually even look like the original food. You know, that's not so near that its original state. But foods like, you know, when you cook a meal with vegetables, meat, fish, eggs and different fruits, that's what we're talking about, when you can recognise the food when it still looks like it's similar to it does in its natural state. Obviously, many foods need to be cooked before we can eat them, but really not much more processing than just cooking it. So just getting a wide variety of different foods, lots and lots of different colours, lots of balance, and lots of different sources of protein as well. Protein is also very important for the immune system and for blood sugar balance. Protein is found in vegetarian sources, and we've talked about chickpeas, and also the different nuts and seeds. And animal sources of protein are things like chicken and fish, dairy, eggs and red meat. So it's very important to get protein in the diet every day too. So I'm going to make one more thing now, and it's going to be a little bit more of a sweet treat, because that's always nice, isn't it, to have a nice little sweet treat, but using natural sources of sugar. So I'm going to use my food processor here, and I've got some dates here, some Mejdal dates, and I've taken the stones and checked them first. So we've got 175 grams of dates. I'll say the ingredients again at the end. So I'm putting that in my food processor here. And we've got some olive oil, 4 tablespoons. You can also use melted coconut oil if you prefer, if you like that. So I've got 4 tablespoons. And we're going to be making some little date balls, little energy date balls, which are nice. I like to make these and serve them as a little treat Shabbos lunch. Haven't been entertaining a lot Shabbos lunch, haven't been entertaining at all Shabbos lunch, but I'm still making them for my family. So we've got our dates in there and our olive oil, and I've got 2 tablespoons of cacao powder. You can use cacao or cocoa. Put that in there as well. And now this is an optional part of this recipe. You can add a little bit of flavouring if you like. In the past I've added a few drops of orange blossom water. What I had in the cupboard available today was some almond extract, or you could just even not put anything in because it actually tastes very nice on its own. Then I'm just going to add a teaspoon of that. Okay. Right, and I'm going to just blitz that for a second, and then we're going to add the remaining ingredients. So you'll have to excuse the noise while I just do this. But just a couple of notes actually about those ingredients. So we're preparing a sweet treat today, but actually what we're going to be serving is lots of fibre, lots of magnesium, even some iron from the cacao powder, and we've got all the polyphenols from the olive oil and healthy fats in there as well. Some people are very nervous about fat. They feel that it makes them fat, but that's not the case if you're having the correct sources of healthy fats. So healthy fats are things like olive oil, oily fish, which I've talked about, having vitamin D, eggs, nuts, seeds and avocados are all really healthy sources of fats. And we do need some fats. Did you know that 60% of your brain is made from fat? So it's very, very important to make sure you're having some fat in your diet every day. It helps with your health of your skin, health of your brain, and your metabolic health as well, and your heart. So to get the right fats in. So don't worry about having too much fat. It's just about not having the wrong sorts of fats, which would be things like lots of deep fried foods and margarines, things like that. Okay, I'm going to just blitz this for a second. Definitely don't want the food processor to malfunction while I'm on Zoom. Okay. Okay. Joanne, this food processor is nearly as old as my popcorn machine, which is, anyway, it's beginning to work. Okay, so we've got that all blitzed up, and now I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of chia seeds and 6 tablespoons of ground almonds. And then I'm going to blitz that again. I'm just going to run through the ingredients again. So it was 175 grams of dates, 2 tablespoons of cacao or cocoa powder, 4 tablespoons of olive or coconut oil, and a teaspoon of a flavouring, orange blossom water, or I used almond extract because that's what I had. And now I've added 2 tablespoons of chia seeds and 6 tablespoons of ground almonds. Okay, actually, just in case you didn't get all of that, this recipe is on my website, estherdonoff.com, and it's in my blog back in 2017 in December, if you want to go back that far. And you can see a nice picture of them too. Right. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do now, I've got this nice mush in here. I'll come and show you the mush. Here. And what we're going to do is make little balls, and we're going to roll them in desiccated coconut. And then what you would ideally do is leave them in the fridge for a few hours to set. Okay, so here we are. So I'm taking little balls of mixture, you can see that, and rolling it, and then rolling them in the desiccated coconut, like this. So we've got a nice little sweet treat. They're very sweet from the natural sweetness of the dates. So really this is not such a good meal for someone who has real blood sugar control issues, for people who are diabetic. It's because there is still a lot of natural sugar in here. However, for someone who's having a balanced diet and doesn't have any blood sugar control issues, this is a really lovely, healthy, sweet treat. Okay, I just want to show you these. I'm going to carry on rolling. I'll come up a little bit nearer, and you can see there. And ideally you'd let them set a little bit in the fridge. So if I was making these for Shabbos lunch, I'd make them on Friday obviously, keep them in the fridge and just bring them out, maybe take them out the fridge about half an hour before dessert time. These also make nice little presents to take round to people, to show you're thinking of them. Or mishloach manot, when that comes around again. Okay, so I'm going to carry on rolling these balls, and then I'm going to ask my lovely assistant here to see if there are any questions, and she's going to read them out to me. Are there any questions over there?
Yeah, okay, so daily I have 2 handfuls of pumpkin, flax, hemp and sunflower seeds. Does that cover all my oils needs? I take omegas too, can I stop them?
So the question about whether you're taking different types of seeds and you're also taking an omega supplement, it's really difficult for me to answer that, not knowing anything about your personal health or any of your health conditions, or having done a blood test to see what the level of omegas in your blood are. So it's a little bit difficult for me to give you a definitive answer. I would say that that does sound like you are probably having enough with all those different types of seeds, and that you probably don't need a supplement, but it's very difficult for me to say without seeing you, looking at you and your, taking a medical history and doing a blood test to see that. But it does sound like, that you probably have got your bases covered, but it's very difficult, understandably, for me to say that. Most people are deficient in omega-3s when I have done tests on people. So, it may be that if it's something you're very concerned about, that you did have a blood test for that. But it sounds like you're doing really fine, especially if you're having, oily fish as well and some olive oil, that you're probably, that's probably okay. But do get in touch with me if you'd like to ask anything else about that. Thank you. That question.
Okay, I have post-viral fatigue just now following COVID, but also previous history of ME. What would you recommend I eat or take as supplement to help my recovery, apart from regular days like this?
So I'm sorry to hear that you've had the COVID and that you've got post-viral fatigue as well. It does take a long time to recover, especially from this disease, which we don't really know very much about. I would suggest that you, as soon as you can get back to a GP and to normal health services, that you do sort of get your levels of everything checked up to make sure that you are, optimally replete in all the different nutrients. Just to making sure you're having a really wide variety of different foods, particularly thinking about vitamin D, thinking about your B vitamins. So B vitamins, we haven't really touched on those, but they do support energy levels. And if you're having a wide variety of lots of different things with B vitamins, so lots of different whole grains, lots of nuts and seeds and different vegetables, different sources of protein as well, different protein foods, chicken and fish, then, and as long as you're eating enough food, you're eating, 3 meals a day, then you should be getting that from there. But it may be that you need to have, have your levels of different things checked. It could be that you're a little bit low in iron if the body's been fighting an infection, or it could be that you're low in certain things. It's very difficult for me to give you a personalised answer, as I don't know anything else about your health history, but I'm very happy to speak to you personally about that if you wanted to get in touch. It's very difficult for me to give deeply personalised answers to some of these questions without the person in front of me and without the whole clinical presentation in front of me. So I'm sorry if some of these answers are a little bit vague, but it's difficult for me to give a medical answer to something when I can't actually see you. But please do get in touch if you wanted to ask, for something a little bit more personalised and detailed. So I've just got one more ball to roll here, and then I'll show you the finished plate. It's quite therapeutic, actually, I must say. And doing this takes your mind off other things. It's quite a nice thing to do if your mind is jumping around from lots of things at the moment, because you're thinking about, you're worried about people, or you're worried about different things. That actually doing this is quite nice and calming. It's certainly calming me down. Okay, so that was the last one. And if you'll excuse my fingers, which are nice and oily now, I will just come and show you. Here we are. Okay, so we've got some lovely little date balls there, and I'm going to pop those in the fridge. So,
Esther, can I just ask you, somebody said, is that okay for them to have with, how many should you limit yourself to if you have sugar?
oh, I see. Well, if someone has...
It's healthy, because it's healthy when we eat the whole plate.
Well, I wouldn't be allowed to eat the whole plate in this house. There's far too many teenagers here, but you'd probably have like 2 of those. That'll be fine. If you're having, if you've got diabetes, you really should be limiting yourself with any type of sugar, natural or otherwise. But for any not regular healthy person, a couple of those is fine.
Amazing.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me in my lockdown kitchen. It's been really lovely seeing everybody, and it's been fun preparing all of these foods. I hope that I've shown you that we don't have to be eating chocolates and sweets all day to stay full during the day. In fact, on the contrary, you can have lots of different colourful foods in the middle of the afternoon to help support your immune system, or just to help support your overall health, and quite simply and relatively inexpensively. There's been some other questions?
Yeah, someone asked if they can have it if they have type 1 diabetes.
No, I wouldn't recommend, if you have any type of diabetes, to have any sorts of sugar unless that you've been told by your medical practitioner that you can. I'd really listen to the advice by your doctor. If you've been told that you can and the amounts that you can, then you should listen to their advice. But otherwise, no.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us into your kitchen. And we'd like to know exactly who makes their date balls, so send in pictures, or your hummus, and all your additives and whatever you're going to be making, and don't forget about that peanut butter. It's actually yum. My problem is you can eat the healthy. I just like too much of